Tech Watch now, the ransomware gang known as REvil appears to have disappeared from the internet. The Russian-linked group has been blamed for this year's Microsoft Exchange server data breach and the hack on the world's largest meat supplier. REvil's blog and payment website went down on Tuesday, and there is speculation that it was deliberately targeted by state actors. So to help us understand this, who better than to bring in CBSN tech reporter Dan Patterson. So Dan, this is really evil, really interesting, and also REvil. Why did REvil go dark? Does the U.S. government have the capability to take down REvil? Because certainly, you know, the president has suggested at times that the U.S. has retaliatory capabilities as perhaps a deterrent to any sort of potential hacking threats that are out there. But we don't really know what the government is doing in terms of that. So could this be something that the U.S. government did?
Yeah, hi, good to see you, Anne-Marie. So when it comes to offensive cyber or even retaliatory cyber, it's much like a military operation. We might know from a macro perspective the strategy, but we probably won't know the day-to-day kinetic actions that are being taken. So when it comes to REvil or REvil, you know, every time I talk to my sources, about half say REvil and a half say REvil.
Right.
Yes, we do have the capability of taking gangs like this offline. And I think there is some precedent for law enforcement, not just here in the United States, but many of our allies, not just taking these gangs offline, targeting their dark websites and the servers that prop them up, but also tracing the cryptocurrency. We'll get into that a little bit later next week. But what's most interesting here is that just because the site went offline or REvil appears to have gone dark, it's temporary, or at least that is kind of another historic precedent with many of these ransomware gangs. Often they rebrand or they regroup with a few of the same members and a few new members. Often they will adapt their code, and some of this is proprietary to particular ransomware gangs. So what's really important to note here is that ransomware gangs aren't going anywhere. And in fact, it appears as though this trend is on the uptick. Whether or not we have groups like REvil, DarkSide, Maze, and others coming and going.
The thing about REvil, though, is that it almost seemed like it was set up kind of like a corporation with franchises almost. Very, very well organized. And I wondered if putting that back together would be particularly challenging or not.
Well, Anne-Marie, you've kind of touched on the trend that has dominated this last season of ransomware, and that is ransomware as a service, much like software as a service, where you pay a subscription or you have an affiliate. That's exactly what many of these ransomware gangs are doing. And yes, they are set up much like a corporation. Often I spoke with sources yesterday who said, you know, some of them even use applications like Slack to communicate. They have a distributed workforce. Some of them have shifts and they log in and then they log out. This is very much like a company or a corporation. And because there are affiliates, again, this is ransomware as a service, you can kind of license the technology and license the capabilities of these gangs by a smaller actor. So what we're seeing now is kind of the consolidation of many of these groups. And again, we'll get into the specifics of this consolidation next week. But these groups are becoming more sophisticated because they have the tools to work together, to collaborate, just like many of us do during the pandemic remotely, and operate in a way that kind of makes ransomware and hijacking your machines just kind of like a boring business protocol.
So REvil obviously is not the only ransomware group out there. If indeed they were taken down because of a third party or a state, I expect that other ransomware groups are shaking in their digital boots, their virtual boots.
Maybe, but probably not, honestly. Yes, our law enforcement and our allies' law enforcement do have the capability to take these gangs offline. Many of the actors, like I said, it's a distributed workforce, so they're not like in one office sitting in a basement or in a cubicle somewhere. Some might be, but it's really hard to say, well, we found the whole gang. We rounded them all up and arrested them. This is technology, and just like all other technology, it scales really well. It's distributed really well. It evolves really well. And just because you take one criminal actor out doesn't mean that other criminals aren't looking at this as a very lucrative opportunity. Right now, most cyber experts are focused on defense and prevention. So hardening up the cyber defenses of small companies and the government, and trying to make sure that you don't get sucked into one of these traps.
So the U.S. government is offering rewards of up to $10 million for information that identifies, quote, state-sanctioned malicious cyber activity against critical infrastructure, which is basically what REvil has been accused of doing. We have learned that they're probably Russia-based, and certainly there are assertions that the Russian government is letting this stuff go. Let's put it that way. But how do you go after these people? I mean, how do you arrest the individual, the actual person who's behind this?
I don't know that that is what law enforcement is focused on right now. Yeah, I think that the goal is more, again, prevention and deterring these types of attacks. So we like to think of this as, look, there's a huge market of potential targets for hackers like REvil, DarkSide, Maze, and others to go after. So when I talk to cybersecurity experts, once again, they say just don't be that low-hanging fruit. Use things like two-factor authentication, look out for phishing attacks, and help these criminals go after somebody else. So when we think about groups that operate in places like Russia, at least allegedly, like you said, Anne-Marie, there's kind of a tacit nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Almost nothing happens, or at least nothing financially or criminally happens in Russia without the Kremlin being aware of it in some way or another. And many of these groups do operate in Russia or Eastern Europe. And it's really hard for our allies to pursue a lot of these actors because they're simply outside of our capability, jurisdiction.
All right, Dan, thank you. Right.
Great to see you.
Makes a lot of sense. Dan, thank you very much.